Hey, it's Don, the Auction Professor here. I have another BOLO for you today. As most of you know who have watched my channel for any length of time, you know I'm big into paper. I'm going to shoot you out another paper item here. It's something that I do find quite often, and I actually have sought these out for many years, and I'm talking many, many years. It's business cards. Vintage business cards or business cards from a specific person can be worth a ton of money. When we worked at Disney, we collected them. We'd go into any office pretty much that we could get into trying to find business cards. They were always flippable and sellable. I found people like Michael Eisner's business card laying around before in offices, so it's just something that I've done for many years. When famous people came in, if there was business cards available, I would do that. When we lived in Washington, D.C., and we went to the Capitol building and went around in some of the buildings that you're allowed to visit, if there was a representative or anything like that, we always, said hi and asked for a business card. If we went into an office, we asked for a business card. All through my career, I've messed with business cards. They do sell very well. I've got our own collection of them as well. It's just something you're going to find. So we're going to go over to the screen right now, and I'm going to show you some of the values and some of the types you want to look for. So here we are with business cards. Now, probably the number one business card that's worth the most money, other than like an autographed one or something like that, if you're talking about like occupational wise, would be tattoo artists. Most of those go for good money no matter where they are from, in my personal experience. This is just a perfect example of one. $181 for this one here. Now, with business cards, I run into them all the time. I'll find a vintage wallet at an estate sale or a garage sale or something, and there'll be business cards in there. I'll find stacks of envelopes and things like this in someone's basement or someone's attic at an estate sale, or big box lots of paper items at an auction, or from a picker, or a business closing down, or a county sale, or anything like that. And many times there'll be business cards in there. Most people do not mess with business cards. No idea why. They don't think they're worth much money. Even newer business cards can rake you in a few $100s if you get the right one. So they're not huge pricey ones overall, but some do sell for a ton of money, into the $1,000 range with the right provenance, maybe with a signature or something along that line as well. So just a perfect example. It's not a huge category because, again, a lot of people don't look for these. They're nondescript. Most people just pass by business cards. And probably if you're watching this, chances are you've passed by business cards as well, if you at all look into paper or any of these types of items. I, on the other hand, have not. There's been 20 years of my life where I've picked up business cards places that I've worked. Even when I was younger in high school, if we went downtown and met somebody or something and there was business cards, I picked them up. So anyway, it's just something you could throw away later if it wasn't worth anything. Here is Steve Jobs' business card. Not in the best condition. It's seen some wear. Again, these show up in wallets and things like that. These show up in just stacks of junk paper. $225 on this one. Here's a car dealer. Tucker Motor Car Company. Jackson, Michigan. Just a perfect example. There's a lot of these. People, again, miss these many times over. $180 for this one. Here's another one. This is Houdini, illustrious president, the Society of American Magicians. Now, this isn't necessarily Houdini's personal business card for his business. This is his business card for him being the president of this society. Now, if this was his personal business card that he would hand out for, like, hiring him for a event, that would be a different case and be worth more money. This is later on. This is a little later on in his career, I would gather. It's still $175. Now, the next one here is a photographer's business card. He does daguerreotypes, ambrotypes, and such forth. A daguerreau is an image that was printed on brass, a brass plate with an emulsion on it. An ambrotype is one that is printed on glass. It can be a red-colored glass, which would be ruby ambrotypes, or just a regular ambrotype on regular glass. So this is a very unique area. It's $158 for this one. It's a nice engraved one, so this is basically like a trade card to some extent. So this has multi-category interests. At least 4 categories this card could sell in, so really good item here. Here's just another one. This is a Battlefield Museum card from the Civil War era. Just another perfect example, Gettysburg. Probably 1890s, as he said. So really good item, $152. We'll just scan through a few here. Hotels and railroads again, $152. The Rio Grande Hotel Company. Interesting one. Motorcycles always go well. Harley Davidson, I have one in here as well too. Any ones like this go for good money. A Ford dealership from 1940s, 50s, even up into the 60s can still garner you some money. And again, these do show up. Most people miss these. Most people I talk to don't mess with these or don't think about it. Or I'll be out sourcing with somebody and I'll say, hey man, you just walked right by these. And it goes, what are you talking about? It's just a business card. It's worth money. There's value in a lot of these. Here's another photographer, Ambrotype, 130 bucks. Again, it's a secluded category that most people don't mess with. Here's an early Disneyland card from 1962, it states. Now, I don't know if you could pin that down to that specific date. Maybe he only worked there that 1 year. Who knows? But the point of it is that these type of cards go for some good money. I've got a large collection of Disney World business cards, too, and a few Disneyland from when somebody showed up and toured a building or something I was in. I was lucky enough to get some business cards from some upper management as well, too, some famous people. Disney ones always go very well. It's one of the top ones you could sell. So if you're in California or Florida, they go very, very well. Universal Studios cards would go pretty decent as well, too, depending on the position. Here's just another one for horse importers. Just another example here. They've got two different places, establishments. Another good example, as I said, though. This is an illustrated engraved one. Had they put engraved on this, it probably would have sold for some more money. It actually looks like a full-fledged, yeah, I would say this is a full-fledged engraved card. But $113 on this one. Here's another one. This is for a Southern Air Transport. I don't believe this company's been around for a long time. The phone number, the TU8-2444, tells me it's probably from the 1930s, 40s, somewhere in that range. Maybe even into the 50s, possibly. Some cities had that range of numbers at a specific point. You can also look up the zip code to see when they went to the 5 digits, so you know it's before that point as well. So $100 on this one, basically. Another horse one, same basic type, just an importer basically. $88 on this one. Just like a lot of other areas I talk about, Tahoe cards go very well too. This is just another example of a Tahoe card, $85. Another Disney one, $80. Now I have a couple Eisner business cards, so $80 is on average. I've sold some for more than that in the past. I've kept the last couple I have because you never were able to run into them very often. I've actually had several run-ins with Michael Eisner. One when I was basically dressed as a guest, which didn't go very well, and some in business aspect too, but anyway. Now here is Nanking. This is from China. Most business cards from anything in China go for a few bucks, 20, 30 bucks on average. This one is from somebody in the ministry department, actually worked for the government, so $61. Here's just a fanciful one, Leon and Eddie's Reno. Vintage Reno ones can go for decent money as well, too. This is fairly unique. Nice Art Deco image, nice artwork. The artist who did this may even be well known. $79 basically on this one. Here's just another one with the gentleman's autograph, the founder of Costco. $100 on this one here. Kenner Toys, 70s or 80s, the same company that produced the Star Wars toys. Now, they've covered up the name. I don't always do that. Sometimes I do, depending on how new the card is. $130 basically on this one, and they had two of them, too. Here's another one. I would say this one's earlier than the other one. $130 on this one. Now, military cards and organizations do very well. I've got a few, and I'll probably post a couple on my Instagram from the 1880s right now from some infantry companies. And this is for the UCV, which is a Confederate Veterans Organization, basically. And this is from the Macon Volunteers from Georgia. It's the 2nd Battalion, Georgia National Guard from Macon, Georgia. $95 on this one here. Another China one. Again, most Chinese cards like this go for some money. It doesn't matter what they are from my personal experience. This is kind of a broad range of things that this gentleman does. $66. Here's a unique one, a mechanical one, where you'd actually pull out the name of the actual person. The Indian and Henderson Motorcycles. It's from Detroit. I have not seen this one before. Rather interesting. It's probably about the size of a business card as well, just with that tiny little pull out there. Trying to draw you and make you more interested in the card in the first place. $58, $59 basically. Next one here is a steel plate engraved one. Really nice one here. This one may have sold more as an engraved card rather than an actual business card, but it went for $60. Now, Nellie Bly is very well known. This card, technically, I wouldn't think would be one of her personal business cards. It's more along the lines of a promotional item given away or sold at the Pan American Expo in 1901. I've had a couple of these. They're not super rare, so the chances of you finding one of these are fairly decent if you look long enough, because they do show up. $56. You can see that it's not going for a ton of money considering what it is, but it's made out of aluminum too, so... Next one here is from the World Trade Center. Now, touchy subject here, but they do still sell. A newer item, this is just a perfect example of something like that. These all seem to sell. I've been to New York. I've actually seen the World Trade Center before and after, right after it happened, actually. So I was actually in D.C. when 9/11 happened. So anyway, $50, which isn't bad for this type of card. Reno, another Reno one. Any of the ranches and things in Reno seem to go well. $50. On average, 15 to say $75 is what these mostly go for. The ones from Reno. Tahoe ones go for a little more than that. Again, here is a soda fountain company. Most of these type of things go for decent money. 20, 30, 40, $50. Even Coca-Cola ones from distributors, regional managers, and things along that line from the 40s, even into the 50s, can still sell for 30 or $40. There's a ton of them around, considering how many people work for all these companies, but you won't see a ton of them up online. A lot of people pass them by if they see stacks of them and just don't think much of them. It's just like pencils or something else like that that I talk about, or playing cards, which I have videos on both of those topics. Next one's an Undertaker and Embalmer. Usually the cards say Undertaker. Embalmer is an added plus to this. They should have actually wrote Coney Island on here as well, too. That would help it. The telephone number is for Coney Island. So this is an early one. 20s, 30s maybe even a little earlier than that possibly. $37.88. And here's just another Tahoe one. It's got some issues to it, some major issues, some creases, some scratches and things like that. And it still went for $42 considering. Nothing fancy, nobody's names filled out on the bottom there or anything like that, but just a perfect example. And the last one here, now I'm not going to show you the back of this because it does have some semi-adult nature. This is probably from the 40s or 50s, I would gather from the phone number on here. The phone number is 796. So these are like local phone companies that would have been around. You would have had to ask for a different extension or dialer just to get out of this area. But this in rough condition still went for $35. So this type of thing most people will pass up. It's worn, it's been in someone's wallet, it's seen its better days, the corners are all bumped off, but it's still sold. This is just a touch on it. Again, if you start looking, you're going to find stuff like this, I promise you. So you are going to find this type of item. Most people pass these up. Most people, the majority of them. Most auctions don't shove these up out there on a table unless they're in a big lump sum of paper items. So keep your eye out. Pay attention to these. If they're in a wallet, yank the stuff out, even if you don't want the wallet and the wallet's for sale. If it's sitting in a stack or in a bag, look through these every time you find them. But that's what I have for you. Well, there you go. Hopefully that gave you some ideas and some thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button down below. You can also hit the bell icon to be notified if I post new content or go live. Subscribe and tell a friend.